So here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to talk about degree conferral because that's really kind of the kickoff for any licensure process. Some of you already may have applied for degree conferral, some of you may not have. And so I'm going to kind of go over that process and talk about why your degree conferral date is important. Then I'm going to go into the application for the LPC in Illinois. Like I said, I have a annotated application that I will go over with you all so you can see where you need to fill things out and any tips and tricks that I have for you guys. And then I'm going to briefly go over the requirements for the LCPC. I'm not going to go into it too much in depth other than what you would need to be doing post-graduation to eventually apply for the LCPC. Then I'll talk some strategies of finding information about other state licensures, and then I'll have time for questions at that point. And yeah, so let's get into it. All right, so degree conferral. Degree conferral is the date you're actually graduated. That's the day you actually have your degree. It's not the day you walk across the stage at commencement. It may not be the date you finish classes. It may not be the date you complete your practicum hours and paperwork either. There are specific dates that the registrar's office confers degrees. It's at the end of every semester and certain times of each month thereafter. And I'll give you a website for you all to look that up. But essentially, in order to get your degree conferred, you have to pass the CPCE, pass your FCE, which at this point will kind of pass, and then pass all of your courses as well, and have your paperwork from practicum finalized, your hours done, and everything signed off. That gets you your degree. So if you finish classes, if you've already finished practicum, let's say, but you have classes this semester, your degree won't get conferred until I think June 30th would be the date. Don't quote me on that, but that's the official end of the summer term. That would be the date of your degree conferral. It's not the last day of classes because everything needs to process. If your practicum isn't going to end until after your classes are done this summer, then your degree conferral date would be after that date. Just to throw out some examples. But like I said, I'll show you a website where you can navigate to kind of figure out when your degree might be conferred based on when you think you'd be done with all your requirements. Why is this date important? It's the date that you just need to remember. That's when everything starts. So you have to have your degree conferred before you apply for licensure. And you can start collecting hours towards your LCPC actually, the day after your degree is conferred as well. So that's why you have to keep this in mind and also know that it's not necessarily the date associated any of that. It's the date that's on your diploma. The registrar will tell you when your degree is conferred. So let's walk through the process of degree conferral. So you have to petition for degree conferral if you haven't already. I'm going to show you in the next couple of slides how to do this if you haven't done it already. The registrar, this triggers the registrar to complete an audit of your degree to make sure you've taken all your classes or are planning to take all your classes throughout the summer, and make sure everything's been passed or issued credit for. If there's any questions, they will email me for confirmation. Let's say you had to substitute a class for whatever reason, or there's something just a little off for whatever reason, you took leave of absence, came back, whatever it might be. They'll contact me if there's any questions. Otherwise, they'll do this automatically. And once they see that all the degree requirements are in check, you might be in progress with certain things, but as long as it's on your record that you're going to be completing your degree requirements, they will put you into pending grad status at a certain point. And you kind of stay there until everything is done and all your grades are confirmed. The grade for practicum will switch from IP to credit once all your paperwork is signed off on. Once all that's done, the registrar will email you once your degree is conferred. So be sure you continue checking your student email regularly, even after, let's say, you're walking graduation, you're done with your hours, keep checking your student email because the registrar will email you there once your degree is conferred. And remember, whatever date is listed in there is that magic date that you need to keep in mind. So how do you petition for a degree conferral? You go to the community site, which, like I said, this PowerPoint will be uploaded. So the links, you can use the links once once it's uploaded onto Canvas, you can click from here, but you can access, this from your student gateway or the Chicago school site. So if you navigate to the community site, you're going to go to forms and petitions, which the box is not here anymore. I copied from prior slides to update it, but it says forms and petitions here on this right-hand side. And then once you're on that page, you're going to go to degree conferral on the left-hand side. Click that. Then you're going to get to this page, and there's already a box there, and it's very clear. Click here to complete the petition for degree conferral, and that's where you click to fill out all the information. That page, the rest of it that is not screenshotted there, has all in the information about deadlines, diplomas, ordering diploma frames if you want, degree conferral fee, all the sorts of information regarding graduation and degree conferral, really just degree conferral, commencement's a separate page, is on there. So take a look at that page if you have questions about anything related to degree conferral. All right, so moving on to talking about Illinois licenses. So as you probably already are familiar, Illinois has two license categories. We have a two-tier system. So the initial license is the licensed professional counselor. It is not an independent license. So while you hold that license, you have to be supervised by somebody while you're doing clinical work. You're eligible to apply for this essentially the day after your degree is conferred. You can send in your paperwork. In order to get the license, you have to pass the NCE, the National Counselor Examination. And here's where I like to take the time to remind you that the CPCE and the NCE are not the same thing. Every year I get multiple emails from students saying, oh, the licensure application is asking me for my NCE score. Can you give it to me? And I'm like, no, because you haven't taken it. The CPCE is the practice test for the NCE. And so you've prepared for the NCE already by taking the test, but that score does not take place of the NCE. We use the CPCE in our program, obviously, to prepare you for the licensure exam, but also as an exit, exam to assess student learning for our program, review. So those are two separate things. And I'll talk about the test in a second too. The other license that Illinois has for professional counselors is the LCPC, Licensed Clinical Professional Counselor. This is an independent license. It requires additional supervised practice hours after graduation. And in order to get this license, you have to pass the NCE and the National Clinical Mental Health Counseling Exam. I'll talk about this in a second more. You don't need to retake the NCE if you've taken it before, but I'll talk about that more in depth in a few slides. All right, let's talk the LPC application. I'm going to go through these slides and then I'm going to pull up the sample application I have so you can visualize, it on there as well. The one thing I want to note is the LPC application was just updated last month. And so there are materials currently on the Canvas page that are outdated. They're going to be replaced with this. And if you attended any of these licensure workshops last year, this is new information. So just know that. And it's good for you. It's easier for you. So these changes are good. All right. So first and foremost, access the licensure application directly from IDFPR's website. The link is here. That will give you the most updated license application and any official information on there as well. There are tons of pages on this application that don't require anything from you. There's like lots of instructions and definitions and things like that. There's some forms you may not need to fill out at all, or not until you take the LC or apply for the LCPC. I'm going to go over every single page in the packet in a minute. All of you all MAFO graduates will apply with the examination method. Students in other programs may have taken the NCE as part of their program. Our program does not do that because of our forensic focus. And so you all will apply for the examination method to take the NCE after graduation. I strongly, strongly, strongly recommend that you fill this application out sooner rather than later. You need to apply and submit this application to the state first to get approval to take the exam. This takes time. Illinois is notoriously slow. I've heard months and months of people waiting. So my recommendation, don't say, oh, I need time to study, so I'm going to wait to send this. Um, I would send the application out soon. Start studying for the exam. So then once I give you approval, you can take it. You don't need to take it the day you get the approval either. There's like a window, so you have time. So I would say fill out this application as soon as you can, just to kind of move this process along. Make sure you follow all the steps on the form closely. I have the annotated form for you, but also just while you're doing, do a cross check just to make sure you're following all the steps. Make a copy of all the forms you're mailing to IDFPR. Illinois still uses snail mail for use to submit all of your application materials. So make a copy of all of that for your own records. You're not going to get any of it back from the state. I still to this day sometimes use information from my original license exam application because it has like my information about the hours that I did while I was on internship and postdoc. So keep a copy or a scan or whatever of that for your own files. And just in case something happens, it gets lost in the mail, you have that information. And to prevent maybe a loss in the mail, spend maybe the money to send it like as a certified letter or package or whatever, just to make sure you have some assurance that it's getting to the place it's supposed to go. I'm going to show you this on the form, but another thing that's easy to kind of miss on the form is on the right-hand side. It has you, on most of the forms, it has you write your name, your social security number, and the profession code on every single page almost. And so don't forget to do that. All right, so let's go over each form broadly, and then, like I said, I'll show you what they actually are. You can use our example to guide you. The first thing you're going to fill out is the actual like application itself. It gives all your demographic information. It's 4 pages. I'll go over some of this more in depth, but some of these areas are going to be marked as NA. You might need to do certain things if you mark certain areas as yes. I'll show this to you on the form in a second. The healthcare workers, personal history questions. Again, here, if you mark yes to anything, you're going to have to submit some supporting documentation. I'll show you what this looks like on the form. This is the biggest part that's been updated. So there used to be a different process for this where you would have to submit your transcript. You'd have to submit course descriptions. You would have to go through and fill it out saying this content area meets this course. You don't have to do any of that anymore. No transcripts are needed anymore. No course descriptions are needed anymore. And the content area to course connection, if you will, the table that gets filled out, the registrar's office fills that out for you now. You don't need to do that. So I'll show you on the form. There's a section that is marked applicant, and that's the part you fill out. And then once that's done, you email that to the registrar's office and they complete the rest of the form, put the school seal on it, and they'll mail it back to you because you need that original copy with the seal to mail to the state. The form that's called the CT form is probably not needed unless for some reason you leave Illinois first before you go get an LPC license. You leave Illinois, you go get licensed somewhere else as a counselor, and then you come back. And then the VE-LCPC form, that's only needed when you go to apply for your LCPC. It talks about supervised experience, but that doesn't mean your practicum and internship supervised experience. That's post-master's experience. So that form's not needed either. So before I go on, let me stop sharing for a minute and switch over to our, before I do this. Let me switch over to the sample application here. And again, this will get uploaded for you to Canvas, so you can use this as a guide. So just an overarching note, this form is filled out with the idea that you are applying for the LPC right after graduation. You haven't gotten licensed anywhere else. You're applying for the first time. So just keep that in mind. All right, so this first page is, first few pages actually, are just a lot of instructions. Read them just to make sure you're not missing a step or anything like that. Just a note here, again, that following degree conferral, students are eligible to apply for the LPC. And then for the LCPC, you have to wait for 2 years of supervised experience. Talk about that in a second. All right, another reminder here that to use the examination method as your application route. This acceptance of examination is not the route to go because you will not be you will not have taken the NCE, the NBCC method. I get this question often too, that students go to the NBCC website to apply and take the test. That's not the correct pathway either. You should go through the state. All right, and so the profession code is circled here. You're going to need that on a few different pages. And then you also have to pay the $150 fee. That needs to be sent to the state in a check or a money order, okay? No cash, no Venmo, nothing like that. All right, some more instructions here. And on step 5, I've highlighted the forms that everybody will fill out. Again, you need that fee, check or money order payable to IDFPR, the PHQ form, the EdPC form. You've all gotten your degree here in the United States, and so you don't need to worry about that. Again, don't need to worry about that CT form unless for some reason you leave here, go get licensed somewhere else as a counselor and then come back. The official score report is not needed, neither is the NCC certificate. Personal history documents, those are the supporting documents I'll talk about in a second. Proof of name change probably is not needed for anybody. I think it's mostly if you were trying to change your name on your license and it's not the same as it used to be or anything like that. So, you know, if you've had a name change, kind of look more closely at these requirements to know what you need to submit, if anything. Again, this form is only for the LCPC, and then you don't need these 2 bottom forms because you're not trying to restore a license. Here is the address you will mail everything to, and then a reminder to make a copy before you send anything to the state. All right, so some more instructional information here, a blank page, and then we finally arrive at the first place you're going to start writing things. So throughout the application, you'll see I've kind of marked areas for you as a reminder to do certain things and given you some examples of things to fill out. So don't forget to check a box here, profession name, profession code, examination method, and the fee from the first page. You're applying for the first time, and then you fill out all this demographic identifying information. Down here, I don't know why they still have fax in here, quite frankly. I don't know that many people have faxes, let alone a home fax, but regardless, just make sure a phone number is here somewhere. You know, I would, if it was me, I'd probably put my cell phone number here as home. I don't have a home phone. I don't know how many people do these days, but that's probably what I would do. Make sure to put your email address on there. All right, education information. Some students get tripped up on this because it isn't really specific what it means by preliminary education. This is defined here as elementary and high school. So 12 years, because unless you graduated early or you skipped grades or whatnot, it's 12. And then you'll mark whether you got a high school diploma or a GED. Last preliminary school you attended, this is your high school for most people. So put your high school name, where it was, just the month and year of graduation. You don't need to go back in time and find out exactly what date you got your high school diploma. For college or university here, it's important to remember that you should include both undergrad and grad school here. So let's say you did, 4 years of undergrad and you did 2 years of our program, that would be 6 you would circle. And then yes, you graduated. And then similarly down below, you're putting your undergrad and the Chicago school. Note that our official name now is just the Chicago school. So put that there, location, and then just the generic month and year of attendance dates. The registrar's office will put more specific dates on a later form. And then here's what I was talking about. If you see on the side, Put your name, your social security number, and the profession code 178 on these pages. In the specialized training, this is referring to your practicum for the most part. If you've done other types of this kind of training, feel free to put it here, but at a minimum, you must put your practicum site here. The name, the location, the dates you were there, and then yes, you completed training. All right, this page is probably going to be marked NA for everybody, again, unless you go somewhere else, get licensed somewhere else, and then come back. So put NA and put NA here, and then fill out this part. Don't omit it. Don't just leave it blank completely. I would put an NA, and then fill out the side. For this personal history information, these are the places where if you mark yes to anything, pay attention to some of these highlighted areas, because you will likely need to provide some supporting documentation, whether it be court records or a personal statement, something like that. So read these closely and make sure you're marking them accurately, and then providing any support that you need. This exam coding information section, it's not actually used for either the LPC or LCPC exams. So you can just leave this section blank, or you can, where like I have this orange text, you can just put like an NA there as well. And then fill out the yes or no here, fill out the side, and then you're going to sign at the bottom here. You can pre-fill these like forms out if you want. I started doing that because I was just anxious to get it done. But make sure when you sign the form, the date that you sign it is after your degree conferral date. You don't want anything getting sent back to you just in case. All right, here's some more questions that you're going to check boxes about. You're going to fill out this top part. This, you won't have a professional license number. And then marking it as the LPC license you're looking to obtain. And then here, marking yes or no for any of these questions. And if you answered yes to any of those above questions, you need to add a personal statement. I'm gonna go ahead and actually highlight that. So that way the one that I upload for you all has a highlight there as well. Okay. And then sign, date. For some reason, this one asks about your email address as well. Yesterday, I got a question about the email addresses. Students who graduate from the program have lifetime access to your email as an alum. If a student withdraws or is dismissed, that email access gets cut off, but as long as you graduated, you have lifetime access to your student email. Whether you decide to submit this with your student email or a different email, totally up to you. I mentioned to the group yesterday that when I graduated, I created like a professional Gmail with, you know, just to use for anything related to licensure, professional organizations, anything, you know, private practice wise, I use it for that. So you could opt to do that as well. It's up to you. I just wanted to provide some, you know, options for you, logistic wise. All right, definitions. These are just for your information. You don't need to mail back these forms with the application. You can remove them. Blank page. All right. Okay, so this is the form that's changed the most since just a month ago, but since I did this last year, if you attended. So this top part here, applicant, you're going to fill out all of this part here. Name, all of this information. You attended the Chicago school. You do need to put your date of degree conferral here, which you'll get in the email from the registrar's office when it's conferred, and then just sign and date it. That's all you have to do. After you fill that out, you are going to scan it and email it to the registrar's office. Here's the email, tcsspp.registrar@thechicagoSchool.edu. And the remainder of this form, both this page and all of this, the registrar will complete on your behalf. I have provided the registrar's office with the course codes that go with each of these content areas. If there's any deviation, again, like you took a class in a different program for whatever reason, or you had transfer credit or something like that, they will email me and get clarification before sending it back to you. But they have all of this information from me of what our courses align with that. So you don't need to do any of this. I would make sure you put your name on this page though, name, social security number, and profession. But yes, all of this information, no, you don't need to do any of this. Okay. And then similarly, this page used to ask for course descriptions, used to talk about a transcript. You don't need to do that. The school will then fill out this bottom part too, and this is where that seal will go, and that's why you have to mail this original form to the state. So the school will mail it back to you as well. And I've had in the past students ask about just picking the form up from school because they think it might be faster. The registrar's office is fully remote, so there is no pickup option, but they turn things around in the office pretty fast. It's just, you know, we can't control the US mail, but if you send the form to the registrar's office, they usually only need a couple days probably to fill it out, unless for some reason there's a huge influx or somebody's out. But it doesn't take that long to get it from the registrar's office. All right, this is the form that's not needed unless you go get licensed somewhere else and then come back here. Similarly, this form is not needed. This is something you will fill out when you go to apply for your LCPC though, but you don't use this form for the LPC. And that is it for the form. All right. So I'm going to switch back to the PowerPoint and then I'll take questions about this after I finish the PowerPoint. Okay, so let me go briefly into the requirements for the LCPC license. You are eligible to get your LCPC in 2 different time periods, essentially. 2 years postmasters and 3,360 total hours. That includes 1,920 face-to-face hours. Whichever one of those is later. So let's say you accumulate that 3,360 and that 1,920 amount of hours in 1 year and 10 months. You have to wait until 2 years to get the license or to apply for the license. Conversely, if you hit 2 years, but you haven't accumulated all of those hours, you have to wait till you accumulate all of those hours. So it's both of those things, but whichever is greater. There's no maximum time frame technically that you have to complete this. So let's say life happens and you do it for 5 years, that's fine. While you are, whether you have your LPC or not, but while you're working towards the LCPC license, you have to get 1 hour a week of supervision. This can be on an individual basis, or it could be in a group, but it has to have less than 5 people in the group. So unlike at your practicum where you have to have 1 hour of individual supervision, this is a little bit broader where it does allow you to have group supervision in a small group to work towards your license. The credentials are LCPC, LCSW, psychologist, or psychiatrist. So when you're looking for jobs, when you're discussing jobs with people during interviews, make sure, I mean, most places will have this in place, but it is a question you could ask about to make sure that there's somebody on site that would provide you the supervision with these proper credentials. It doesn't need to take place in Illinois. So let's say you move and then you want to come back, you can use those hours still to apply for licensure in Illinois. You also don't necessarily need to get your LPC first before you get the LCPC. Let me tell you about why, and then I'll tell you why I wouldn't suggest that. So the LCPC, if you don't get your LPC first, you then later on have to take both the NCE and the NCM HCE test. So you still have to get both. You still have to take both of those tests. It's not like it's a shorter or a shortcut in any way. If you've gotten your LPC and you pass the NCE though, you don't need to retake the NCE when you go to apply for your LCPC. You just need to take the NCM HCE. There's a lot of acronyms in this part of the presentation. I don't necessarily recommend this because a lot of jobs out there want you to have your LPC because you can bill at a higher rate. So I wouldn't recommend necessarily holding off. It also just puts more pressure on you to take 2 exams at that point in time, and that makes it a longer licensure process to do that like 2 years from now. The application that I just went over is pretty much the same that you would do for the LCPC. You would just add that last form, but you do need to like refill it out again. And similar to the way the LPC works, you need to submit that application to get approval from the state to take the licensure exam. So similarly, do that as soon as you meet criteria to get that license, to give you the time to get the test or take the test. All right, out-of-state licenses. So some resources. How do you find information about it? Well, there's 3 main places that you can start. So there's 2 websites at the top there. They're also linked on our department Canvas page. Those are websites that will link to all of the state's licensure boards. So unfortunately, with the counseling license, there's a lot of disparities between the states of what they require. Typically, there's those content areas of courses. There's like 8 to 10 content areas that are pretty similar amongst all states because it's based on the K-CREP, K-CREP accreditation courses that they want in part of the program. So our program has those courses. Even if we're not K-CREP accredited, we have the courses because we built the program around those standards. That was the word I was looking for earlier. It's important that you look at every single state because there's deviations. That's what I want to say about there. The other thing to look at is our program licensure disclosures website. And I've linked it here. This is updated on a yearly basis. This basically is me going over all of the licensure requirements for every state and determining if our educational standards in our program meet the educational requirements for each state. Things change in a year sometimes, and so I would look at that, but I would also look at the state licensure in tandem with that just in case. But basically, the programs that are listed on that page, the states that are listed on that page, it's in 3 categories. One, states that we meet the requirements for without any sort of deviation, from your curriculum. States that we do not meet criteria for without any deviation of the program, and then ones that we haven't yet determined for whatever reason. Sometimes there's states that require a very specific audit of your program requirements, and so it's not like something I can say, it's them, they have to say it. So those are 3 options for you to kind of look at different states. When you are looking at state board websites, look over the statutes and rules that guide the counseling license. Look over the application as well. One of the things, there's a few main areas where states tend to differ, whether they have a 2-tier or 1-tier license system, or even more than 2-tier. I don't think there's any places that have 3, but there are a lot of states that only have essentially the equivalent of our LCPC license. You don't get anything after graduation. You just work under supervision until you meet those postmasters supervised hours. The other areas to look at, because these are common areas where a lot of states differ, is accreditation requirements, the type of program. So is there specific names that the program has to have, or words that the program can't have in the title? Course and credit hour requirements. And practicum and internship hour requirements. If you look something over and you're like, oh, I don't know that I have a course in this area. First, I'm going to talk about this last bullet first. First, look at your course description and look at if there's a description in the licensing code that kind of explains a little bit more of what it's being asked. There are a lot of times where the content area does not necessarily match the actual course name word for word. You'll see that even on the Illinois licensure website, or I'm sorry, application. So do that first. And then if there's still a discrepancy potentially, and you're like, nope, I definitely don't have a course that I took, take a look at if there's regulations around, can you take it after the program? Can you take it online? And and see what those options are. You can also reach out to your licensing board. Some licensing boards will give you responses. Some will be like, no, you got to apply and then you kind of got to see. But yeah, those are some resources for you. All right. It's a lot of information. I wanted to go through it fairly quickly because I want to leave time for questions. So feel free to put them in the chat, unmute yourselves, take yourself off video, whatever you want to do. This is your time now. Questions. None? Or are we typing?
I have a quick, just like clarification. So with the school form, we email it to only those 2 pages, we email it, and then they're going to mail it to us.
Correct. They have to mail it back to you because you need the original seal. So they can't see
Okay.
it.
I'll ask a quick question for like out of state licensing. So even when we are doing those applications and stuff, I know some of them are mostly similar. We can still do the same process where we're able to send all of that to the registrar and everything. Like it doesn't change anything.
Good question. Every form is different. Most forms will say specifically, like you saw on the Illinois form, it said like applicant fill this out, registrar fill this out. Most states will say on the form who filled what out. So read those.
Okay.
And yes, if it's the registrar's office that needs to fill it out, send the license form to the registrar. If for some reason the registrar doesn't fill it out, they know there's one person in the office really that does like all of our licensing forms. And they tend to know like, oh no, we actually need the department chair to do this, or we need the director of clinical training to verify hours, and they will contact us. So post-graduation, if you're sending anything about licensure, send it to the registrar first. And then if they for some reason can't do it, they will contact me and the department if needed.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Nothing?
Oh, Dr. Lamont, I had a question. It was about the degree conferral. So you mentioned about the petition that we are eligible to file. But would we be able to file the petition after we meet all of the course requirements, or can we still file it and then the registrar will approve it only after we meet the requirements?
Fill it out now. Let me pull it up. Since we've got a few minutes, I'll pull up the website.
Thank you.
And show you all the page in full that I was talking about. All right, you're on the Office of the Registrar's page. You're going to go to, oh wait, can you all see? Okay, now you're going to go to degree conferral. Here's where you're going to click. Here are dates. So there gives like an earliest submission. So if you think you're going to be done in this summer, the earliest you can submit is in a few days. I think Monday. Is that Monday? So if you think you're going to be done in June, you can submit it then. Even if you submit it early, they're not gonna like deny it necessarily. They'll just delay it. For most of you, you can start doing this on Monday probably. And then that's where that pending grad status kind of comes into play. If at the point in time when they review all of your records that you've met the degree requirements, or you've got like a course on your schedule that seems like you will meet it, even if you don't have a grade just yet, they'll put you in pending grad status. If for some reason something happens and you like don't finish a practicum yet or don't pass a class, they will just revert you back, or they'll delay, when the grad date is. So you can apply on Monday.
Thank you. Thank you.
But here's also the information: degree conferral fee. The process is also here. Diplomas, you will get mailed your diploma. And I think that's. I thought on here talked about, because like I have like a nice like frame for my diploma, but I think it's actually on. If you want to